Hello again, it's Glenn Walford here, and you're at the Franchise Everything podcast, when we talk about everything and anything franchising. Today, we're with Sam Waller from Stepz Fitness Franchise. How are you going, Sam?
Good, Glenn. How are you?
Excellent, mate. You're the CEO and franchisor of this business, and we're out of this location in Rouse Hill, and we're doing quite a bit of stuff here today. It's we've just done a tour and done a few other things, so it's been a really nice morning. Thanks for having us, mate.
Great. No, thanks for having me on. And
Pleasure.
with that mistake, a lot of people do make that, so don't stress.
I accidentally called a mobile coffee franchiser something the other day, and he's like, no, it's wrong. Anyway, you might see it if you've seen another podcast.
Yeah, don't stress. I think the listeners will understand the differences
where I almost
after
went.
this.
They'll understand where I went. So today, this one we're talking about the five, it's one concept we came up with, which is the 5 crucial things that made the Stepz Fitness franchise what it is today.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the reason why I really like this sort of zeroing in is it's 5 key things. So I want to really pull out the 5 things that have really made it what we see here this morning.
Sure.
So there's always these inflection points in any business, and especially in any franchise, where things happen, and that's what we're going to focus on.
Yeah, sounds good.
Let's hit the first one, shall we?
Let's do it.
I asked you to come up and do some homework first before we did this one. And we come up and we're talking about, well, you're talking about you took over this business. So you didn't found this business years ago. You took over this business at a certain point. Tell me about when you took over this business, because it's the first key thing we're going to talk about.
No, 100%. So I've always, since the start of Stepz, started in 2009, since the start I've been involved in a different capacity. Originally it was at personal trainer at the head office gym, and then manager, and then I took that over, which we will get through later. But when I took over, it was 2017. The franchisees at the time with the previous franchisor were a bit unhappy as a group. They felt like the franchisor wasn't doing marketing and wasn't doing a lot. As a franchisee, I didn't see it. My gym was crucially successful. I saw it.
You were going well?
Yeah, I saw it, but it didn't affect me as much because, yes, I'm a franchisee, but I'm also in control of my own destination, and my gym was just about offering the best service and getting word of mouth inquiries. So that stuff didn't affect me as much, but I can see how it affected other franchisees. So basically I stepped up to the job at 22, I think. So youngest in the group.
How did that happen? Did you get tapped on the shoulder, or what was, how did it happen in reality?
So instead of complaining about things, I was trying to work with head office for solutions. And ultimately the franchise group decided better if there was a change of hands, because I had all the ideas, I had all the passion, I had all the drive, and I had done for a long time. And my gym was also probably the top performer at the time. And it was going to be a pretty hard task. So I had to get franchisees on board who were a lot older than me, and had to get them around, which did take some time. From the initial call, took some time, but after they started to see some changes and some crucial changes, and saw that I was listening, things started to change pretty quickly. So when I took over, it was just a 24/7 gym franchise.
And that was 2017?
2017. And we didn't, the other downside and probably a negative inflection, we started at the same time as all the large players in the industry, but we didn't scale as fast as them for some reasons, for reasons with like franchisees unhappiness and stuff like that. A lot of resources have gone into that. So I had a chance to see as a franchisee what mistakes were being made, think about solutions, and then ultimately deliver those solutions.
Take some action. And I think that point that you made there of 24/7 really took off, and you guys got left behind a little bit.
We did.
I think it makes you taking over and doing what you're doing now, from what you've showed us this morning, and we'll talk about more obviously soon, makes it a really key inflection point for the business. So that's number 1.
Yeah.
Okay, now number 2 in as far as the key inflection points or moments or pivot points for the business are the change in branding and marketing. So I think we're going to put on the screen now. I said you were going to show us some old imagery and everything, because I remember the Stepz Fitness brand.
I don't like it to come out too often, but I'm happy to share it.
When I mentioned we might show some old Stepz Fitness branding, I saw the look on your face when I mentioned it. It was different.
Yeah, it was different, and it was important to make some significant changes. I was young and ambitious at the time. And I'm glad I was, but it was a mission impossible almost to do everything, start again,
of course,
in a sense.
Because rebranding a whole franchise,
it's
network
not easy.
I
wouldn't wish it upon anyone.
No, there's a lot of stakeholders involved.
Especially because we didn't just change we changed everything. We changed colors. We changed a lot about it. It needed to change.
It's not just changing a sign out the front.
We kept the good things, but we had to change a lot of stuff, and that was a pretty huge point. But it needed to be done, and also which we'll talk about more. We needed to change the branding. We needed to change the systems and support, and we needed to change the model.
So the marketing broadly. So in the branding and marketing, what was that process there in doing that? What did you identify to start with? To cause the change?
We did a lot of with some of the best branding people and minds in Australia. So there's no cost spared from my part too, and it was all out of my back pocket. Didn't expect franchisees to do it. I didn't tell them about some of this stuff until I had it all presented and all the case and research behind it, because it was up to me to make all these big changes and present it to them in a way to get them on board. And I didn't want to make them involved in what was a hard situation they probably shouldn't have had to go through. But I saw it as the only way. So a lot of research, a lot of study sessions, a lot of listening to members, sitting down and just brainstorming on what members want, thinking long term. So thinking 50 years ahead. I'm not in this business for a short term. I'm in this business. Luckily, I had a longer career ahead of me as a young man. So I was planning on, this is all I'm going to do for the rest of my life. How can I make it sustainable and work for the longer term? So thinking about what members wanted, not just an aesthetic thing. We wanted to change the wording, who we're targeting, and all that stuff. So we found we wanted to go for middle-aged mothers, people with kids who may be intimidated to go to the larger gyms. We wanted to go for them. We wanted to go for retirees who we already had a lot of naturally, but we wanted to hone in on that because there was the young students and the 18 to 24-year-olds. They were sort of pretty much sorted with our competitors, and they were there. That's all right. We didn't want them. We knew that they would come.
That's the environment they're going to go
to.
Yeah,
we just didn't want to focus on them. We will offer the services 24/7 naturally is for them. But in the 24/7 industry, we also found, 24/7 gyms, we also honed in and looked at other people that need to use that. And that's shift workers, that's nurses, that's frontline workers. And they're the ones we wanted to go towards. So
it's where all that branding and marketing all tied together towards
and
that.
it all came into, and I think what we've done is create one of the nicest brands in the fitness industry. There's some great ones that are now coming up and doing well. And but for what we did back in that time, we sort of started this, and now you see the bigger ones interestingly look at us and start to do some things, especially with their fit outs. I can show you can see images of us doing a lot of things first. We just don't have, we had to sort of refine things, and we have to be razor sharp because we don't have the marketing dollars and the scale that some of the bigger competitors that we have do.
Yes.
So every decision we made had to be really well thought out because we can't do it again.
Yeah.
And we executed, thankfully we executed. And for me, execution looks like franchisee success, franchisee, good group, happy group, multi-franchise owners, and member satisfaction.
Excellent. That's a great second point. Branding and marketing all fully updated after you take over.
We're
going to go to the third one. Okay, we'll talk to you long because we'll keep talking.
Yeah.
Franchisee support.
Yeah.
So that was the one that you said was the third key inflection point in the business to bring Stepz Fitness to where it is today, right now.
Sure.
So what were the changes in franchisee support that you were really honing in on?
Sure. So being a franchisee myself, I didn't read the operations manuals. It's probably not good for me to say because you have to do it. I read every franchise agreement that I signed as a franchisee, and I still do it as a franchisor. That's crucially important. But in terms of support, like you have all these operations manuals. Some of them I didn't read as a top performing franchisee. So I was just like, how can we make this better and more refined? Because we've got every resource under the sun. Most franchises do. Yep. But it's what's being read and what's being implemented. So we took that to a key document refined it all to like a how-to guide. Tried to cut the words out, if anything, and then listen to franchisees about what they want. One thing they wanted is to look at other people's numbers, no high-level numbers, not exact performance and profit and loss, but they wanted to see who's adding new members, who's doing well, and so they can benchmark themselves.
Some key benchmarks for them to see what they're doing that they can improve themselves.
Exactly, and so that's what we've done. We do an educate every month. We release those numbers. And so it's also good to create some competition. And as I said, I've got 3 gyms myself. It's important that I'm in the top 5.
Do you get reminded if you ever drop out?
I haven't dropped out.
No,
like I do. There is dropouts are fine. I think dropouts are something just to realign yourself, but it's practice what you preach as a leader. It's practice what you preach. It's be so confident that you invest in it, and that's where I wanted to get to. And then franchisee support for me is having open lines of communication. It's also about having a good positive group. So if there's anyone that's negative, I'm pretty quick to stamp that down. But having a good positive group, I'll listen to it, get them happy, and if they're not going to be happy, suggest a sale.
And it's a good approach. I think it's happening more and more. It's more of a discussion point. You're hearing franchisors right now. If this isn't for you, being unafraid to change over a person if they're not happy.
Well, and also my greatest gift is I was on the sidelines as a franchisee looking at mistakes, looking what franchisor can do wrong, and seeing how powerful a group of franchisees are. So I got to think about all this stuff well in advance and implement this stuff. So franchisee support for me is listening to the group and then implementing changes and being very open and transparent about what's going on and help getting their buy-in and decisions.
Excellent. And I think from your description of earlier, from your first point in these 5 inflection points, that was obviously this number 3rd one about franchisee support, getting franchisee feedback was a real key turning point for the business by the sound of it going forward.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're partners, they're partners in this business. They've got the Stepz brand above their gym. Ultimately, it's up to me to have the ultimate say in decisions going forward, but their input is crucial in everything from what's support for them. And it might be a video education series, which we implemented. It might be just looking at numbers so they can benchmark and get some competition, especially for the established guys who are making money passively, but they know that they can probably push it a bit further, and so it just creates a bit of competition. And just hearing franchisees, listening to them, and implementing what they say. And for me as well, it's about not using their dollars for everything. I invest a lot of my own money. Continually, always have, back into the business and back into future growth, because I think that's my responsibility as a franchisor, not relying on their money, because with their money or with their input into things comes also expectations and
that it's going to deliver.
Yeah, so I'd rather do it myself in a smaller way and then say, this is working, let's go to the group.
Okay, keep buying. That's excellent. So 3rd one. So the 4th one was, I think from our chats this morning, is probably, to me, it feels like to me the most important one, but it was the fourth crucial thing is what's making Stepz Fitness what it is today, and that is your transition to a hybrid fitness model. So talk us through that.
So we've talked about that point that we're at where 24/7 gym, we started at the same time as all the large players, but we didn't have the amount of sites and the growth. So we needed to change everything from branding to hybrid. And then the hybrid was something that wasn't done before.
For those who don't know, what's hybrid?
Hybrid is functional group fitness and 24/7 gym under one space. So not just adding a group fitness area and it runs itself. It's competing with the boutique studios on price and offering this similar service, same service offering, and also having a 24/7 gym. So doing both of them competitively, where they're top tier in either industry, because I saw a lot of segmentation between both, and interestingly, a lot of people have a boutique studio membership and also a 24/7 membership.
I thought they might.
So we're saving them more than half by $29.95. Hybrids are normally double that. Boutiques are normally double that. And then they've got a 24/7 gym on top. Just didn't make sense for me. So we've refined it under one roof at a more affordable price. So, And that's really the success of the initial. Obviously, I needed the success of the initial ones, and it's been beyond my belief.
And when did you first start doing that?
2019-ish. And from then it's just been scale, because it's gone so well. And we've talked about this before. If a franchisee, if I've got a site, know it's going to work, we've done all the numbers and the research on it, and a franchisee pulls out, or that we can't find anyone for the site, I'll do it myself. That's how confident I am, to a point where I did a couple myself, and it wasn't a plan, but I'm that confident.
So it wasn't. So that's why you've got 3. So you've got 3 franchises, 3 locations.
Yeah. So I've had 4, but I've found a manager. I'm also interested in managers who are interested in taking over one day. So I work out, because I was 19, 17 when I started. When I built my first gym, I was about 21. No banks gave me an opportunity. I went to every bank under the sun. Fair enough. I had a lot of cash, but I didn't have any previous lending or anything that I could really
Anything
give
that
them.
they see value in.
As a franchisor now, I want to sort of identify the people who have the passion, who have what it takes, help them, give them access to the financial money, and then help them to grow into owning their own gym one day.
Excellent.
And they're the best operators.
I bet they are. I bet they are. Very, very keen. They know the business inside out, I'm sure. Yeah, excellent.
And passionate.
Yeah. All right, so that's the 4th. That's the 4th key crucial thing that's made Stepz Fitness what it is today. Now, the 5th one that we came up with, that we talked about, was I think this is probably, my take on this is probably an important one for you personally. That's really staffing up head office instead of doing it all yourself. Talk us through that key change.
No, well, yeah, a lot of the time, the early couple of years, and I wouldn't change a thing, but I was doing everything myself. So from dealing with thousands of member support inquiries, leads, I was doing everything myself, and that was good to understand everything. And at the time there was no money to hire anyone else, so I learned a lot from that. But then I didn't realize it until I hired someone in head office, a key franchise support person who's been at the top of Fitness First. She's had her own chain of gyms. She's very successful. She didn't want to go back in the fitness industry, but when she saw the opportunity, she jumped in, and that's been crucial for scale, because I found I was dealing with so much franchisee support and stuff, to then call and speak to leads, who wanted to open a gym.
To expand the network at the same time.
Yeah, to expand the network at the same time. I just wasn't there. My focus is on support, and I wasn't there for that growth. Now, that's all sorted. Multi-franchise operators, we've got a lot of them now. More and more are interested, and that helps as well, because they're trained up. So, they can open a gym. Most of the time, they know, they might know the fit out better than I do in terms of how to save costs and stuff. So that works great as well, and yeah, just understanding it's not all me. Finding the right people, and in terms of from the gym level all the way up to head office, has made a huge change, and that's why we've been able to sell, I think, 7 sites in the last 6 months.
Wow. That's fast growth. So that brings me, so that was the 5 crucial things. So at least the obvious question, I suppose, what's the future look like?
Sure.
So if we've got those things that brought us till now.
Yeah. So those things have brought us till now. And now at this point, we're at the scale stage, because I've seen before what not scaling does. You get left behind. We're not going to be left behind, because we've got something that's unique. We've got a brand that's strong. We've got everything in place. We've got franchisees that are happy. Now it's about scaling and giving this to more and more people, ultimately to impact more and more, Australians' lives by improving their health and fitness. So now it is about, executing these growth that we've got. We've already got, a lot of sites, almost a site opening a month in the next 7 months. So it's pretty full on.
Excellent. It's exciting.
And I guess continuing on with all of those things, continue on to build the support, continue on to build the staffing, make the right decisions in terms of staffing. And for me, continuing to be available for franchisees.
Excellent. Well, that's a great way to wrap it up, I reckon.
Yeah.
Sam, thanks for joining us on Franchise Everything.
Thank you very much.
Thanks again for joining us on Franchise Everything, and we'll catch you again soon.
Cheers.